EDF was founded in 1967 by a small group of people concerned about the harmful effects of the pesticide DDT on ospreys and other wildlife and on humans. Scientists in the group had seen an 85% drop in the number of osprey chicks, and they traced the problem to the spraying of DDT. With this evidence, they successfully banned DDT, first in their own county on Long Island and eventually nationwide. As a result, ospreys and other birds have made a dramatic recovery, and the bald eagle was taken off the endangered list. Since that first case, EDF has expanded to take on many of the world's biggest environmental problems. EDF's mission is to preserve the natural systems on which all life depends. To do this, we focus on four main areas that are of greatest concern today: climate and energy, ecosystems, human health, and oceans. For climate and energy, we're working to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to prevent the devastating results of climate change. For ecosystems, EDF is helping private landowners protect water quality and wildlife habitat. For human health, we focus on reducing air pollution and human exposure to toxic chemicals. And for oceans, we're working with fishermen to end overfishing and create sustainable and healthy fisheries. Really, the key to EDF's success is we're not just looking at the environment. We're looking at people. Everyone needs to succeed and thrive, and EDF's economists design policies where what's good for the environment is good for people's livelihoods too. You can see it in how we help farmers reduce water pollution. The pollution comes from excess fertilizer, and wasted fertilizer costs farmers a lot of money. So when we help them use just the right amount, it helps their bottom line and the environment too. Now, we've teamed up with Walmart, the nation's #1 food buyer, to help farmers reduce pollution from excess fertilizer on a huge scale. There's no reason people can't be healthy and prosperous. It's all about getting the policies right so people and the environment can thrive together. Working effectively with others, including business, government, and communities, is what makes EDF effective. Today's environmental problems are far too complex for any one group to tackle alone. We'll only solve these problems by bringing a diverse combination of strengths and experience to the table. In fact, it's the unexpected partnerships that can be the most productive. EDF's unlikely allies include farmers, ranchers, fishermen, and corporate leaders. Elected officials are sometimes surprised to see us walk through the door with partners like that. It makes a powerful impression because it shows we've gotten together to work out a solution that makes sense for everyone. We measure our success by the environmental results achieved in the real world. In our 5-year plans, we set clear goals and milestones, and then we measure the outcomes, like how many acres of wildlife habitat have been protected, how many lives have been saved by cutting air pollution, and how abundant are fish in the sea. Take that last example, how abundant are fish in the sea. A decade ago, scientists became deeply concerned that many fish were disappearing fast. In response, EDF started reinventing U.S. fishing regulations, working with government officials, academics, and the fishermen themselves. Together, we built a new approach called catch shares, which has been remarkably effective in bringing fish back to abundance. By 2012, the U.S. catch was the highest in a generation. Now we're working with the World Bank and others to adapt catch shares for use elsewhere. Many people are surprised to find out that EDF receives no funding from its corporate partners like McDonald's, FedEx, and Walmart. The fact is, to maintain our independence and objectivity, we've never accepted any payments from our corporate partners. EDF's goal in these partnerships is not to improve just one company, but to create a ripple effect through an entire industry sector. So part of our agreement with our partners is that we'll share our recommendations widely. For example, with FedEx, we developed the first hybrid electric mid-size delivery truck, and more than 100 fleets now use this technology. In the 1980s, EDF helped convince federal regulators to phase out leaded gasoline because the lead had been going straight out of cars' tailpipes into the air. This phase-out ended a major cause of childhood lead poisoning. In 1990, EDF's market-based plan to cut acid rain reduced sulfur air pollution in half at a fraction of the expected cost. That law has saved more than 20,000 lives a year. In 2006, we co-sponsored California's Global Warming Solutions Act, AB 32, which is capping carbon pollution in the world's 8th largest economy. And in 2012, we helped win huge bipartisan majorities in Congress to restore the Gulf Coast after the BP disaster. It's become much more challenging to build bipartisan environmental majorities in Congress. The issue of climate change has been especially divisive, but we must continue to engage in a nonpartisan way because no major environmental legislation has ever been passed without bipartisan support. Years ago, EDF helped solve acid rain with legislation passing the Senate 89-11 and the House 401-21. Today, it's much harder to build that kind of consensus, but lawmakers still listen to their supporters, and many of those supporters in both parties care about the environment, so what we do is ask them to speak up about it. We can't match lobbyists dollar for dollar, but when lawmakers hear directly from their supporters about the environment, it can help get them to do the right thing. As environmental issues become increasingly global in scope, we must continue to build the capacity to work around the world. For EDF, that won't mean opening offices in dozens of countries. More often, we'll use additional resources to work in partnership with local people and institutions in each country where we engage. And we'll hire diverse staff to help us work in entirely different cultural settings. For example, overfishing is a global crisis. It threatens the primary source of protein for more than 1 billion people. Where EDF has been working on the problem in the U.S., fish populations are rebounding. As a result, we've been asked to help design fishery management programs in places ranging from Mexico to Belize, Europe, and Indonesia. We're ready to answer that call for help. All that's lacking is the resources. And overfishing is just one example. The same is true of our work on global warming, natural gas drilling, toxic chemical exposure, and ecosystem protection. EDF must attract and retain more diverse talent to achieve a greater range of perspectives and expertise. As our international activities expand and as the face of America changes, a more diverse staff will deepen our cultural understanding and our ability to win results. We also must build stronger networks of external experts. Today's increasingly networked world opens new opportunities for us to tap the knowledge of far-flung experts, such as in universities and nonprofit organizations around the globe. EDF has its roots in a single town on Long Island, but today we're a player on the global stage. Our mission is the same, to preserve the natural systems on which all life depends. And by working hand in hand with others, we can achieve this ambitious goal, even in today's complex world.